Fish in a Tree, Chapter 30, Miserable King. 2 days later, a lady named Miss Kessler pulls me out of class early in the day to give me some tests. Mr. Daniels is right. They are more like puzzles and games than those awful bubble tests we do, where I still fill in circles without ever reading questions. She's really nice like Mr. Daniels. After school, Mr. Daniels is setting up a chessboard and pieces at the reading table. I walk over and he looks up. "So did your mom tell you that I called?" "Yeah, she didn't say much, though. She usually has lots to say about everything." He laughs. "Moms usually do." He motions towards the chair. "Have a seat." I pull out the chair, wondering what this is all about. "Okay," he says, loosening his tie like we are going to do some serious work. "Chess is a game about planning. It isn't like other games where you just capture the powerful piece." He points to a piece with a cross on top. "This is the king. The object of the game is to trap your opponent's king, but not actually capture it. When you put your piece in a place where it could take the other king, it's called check. When you give the other king absolutely nowhere to go, it's called checkmate. And that's how you win." Normally I would be nervous and my mind would go blank, but he just has this relaxing way. His voice makes me calm, maybe because I know he'll never say anything mean, call me lazy or dumb, and I know he wouldn't think it either. Got that so far? I nod. "So then, are you going to capture my king?" I hesitate. Did I mess up already? Didn't you say that you don't capture it, that you just make it miserable? He laughs. "Yes, I did say that. Good, Allie. Good listening." So he goes through the rest of the pieces. The queen is the most powerful and can travel in straight lines in any direction. There are 8 pawns that, when you band them together, can be strong. Most players take them for granted, though. He tells me that that's a mistake. The rooks look like castles and travel in forward, backward, and side-to-side lines across the whole board. The bishops travel diagonally in straight lines, and the knights can jump in an L shape. The king can only move one spot in any direction. It stinks to be the one with the target on your back and be the one who can't go anywhere. He has made up a sheet with pictures of the pieces and arrows to show how they move. He says it is in case I need a reminder. I turn it over, looking him square in the eye, and say, "I don't need that." He smiles a little, but never takes his eyes off me as he reaches down and moves one of his pawns. Good then. When I start to make some dumb moves, he asks, Are you sure you want to do that?" The first game ends fast, but on the second game, I capture his queen, the most powerful piece on the board. I stand up so fast my knees push my chair back and it falls over. I want to ask if he let me do that, but I'm afraid of his answer. He holds up his hand to high-five me. "Well done." And it's so weird. I don't have trouble with this game. I like it. I like the planning that I will do to trap his pieces. He shows me how you can work it so that you put your piece in a place where it can choose between taking 2 different pieces. Then your opponent has to choose which one to let go. That's called a fork. I love the look on his face when I manage one of those and take his bishop. Like it hurts a little, but he likes it too. The longer we play, the better I can see it in my head. I can see what the board will look like a couple of moves from now. I learn to predict what he might do. I see a mind movie where chess pieces come to life. They travel around on the board all day by themselves, and they are happy that they don't have to just stand there and wait for somebody to pick them up and move them. I know how relieved they are being able to do something for themselves. Chapter 31, Lots of Ways Home. "So, did your mom tell you that we talked?" Mr. Daniels asks. "Yeah." I take a long breath, noticing that I feel my whole own heart beating. "I have to talk to you about something." This doesn't sound good. "I need your help." "You need my help?" "Yes, I do. You know how Miss Kessler gave you those tests?" "Yeah." "Well, it appears you do have dyslexia, which, like I said, makes learning to read difficult. But doesn't mean you're not bright. In fact," he says, half smiling like Travis, "you're very bright, Allie. The tests show that, too." I shift in my seat. "But you will need some help with learning to read better, and we're going to get it for you. Thing is, it might take a little while. Sometimes the paperwork and meetings around that take a while." "Okay. You know how I said we can't play chess on Tuesday or Thursday? Well, that's because I'm taking classes to get a degree in special education. Basically, it's a degree to help me help kids like you, kids who are smart but have learning differences." Smart? Learning differences? So I spoke with Mrs. Silver and Miss Kessler, he leans forward, and your mom, of course, and we were thinking that I could help you after school a couple of times a week until we can get you into formal services here at school. I open my mouth, but he holds up his hands. I know staying after school with me will be torture, but it would really help me out with the projects I have going on for my degree. You'd be doing me a huge favor, and I'd be so grateful, Allie, he leans forward. So? I swallow hard. I'm not dumb. I'm not doing him a favor as much as he's doing me one. And I can't believe or imagine what I've done to deserve help like this. Stay after school? I'd sleep at school if it would help. I nod and we shake on it. And he looks kind of dopey and happy. I shift in my seat again, but can I ask a question? Sure. What are learning differences? Oh, okay. He thinks. When you ride your bike home, is there more than one way to go? Yeah, I thought so, he says. Well, just like there are different ways for you to get home, Allie, there are different ways for information to reach your brain. You have 5 senses, right? Smell, taste, smell, sight, hearing, and touch. I nod. So what if an alien landed in a spaceship and you had to explain what the word frozen means without using the sense of touch? What if you had to use just words? I think that it would be hard, do you? Yeah, it would. I think you've had some trouble learning words with just your eyes. We are going to incorporate more of your senses to practice letters and sounds, and I want you to relax about it. We'll have fun. I won't give you homework on this. No tests to study for or anything like that, okay? I nod. Have you liked playing chess? I nodded, hoping we could play today. You know, I had a feeling you would be good at it. I think your mind learns in pictures, and it helps you be a really good chess player. We've played several times now, and you have learned it fast and improved a lot without much time. Also, thinking in pictures, he leans forward, it's one of the reasons you are such a good artist. Okay, I say, thinking this all sounds good so far. The only thing that worries me is that it won't work. I still won't be able to read. Good then, he says, we're going to practice writing letters, but we won't use paper and pencil. And then he pulls out a huge metal sheet and hands me a bottle of shaving cream. We're going to use this, and by writing in the shaving cream, you'll get sight and touch, and write large enough to use your whole arm. Just more ways for the signals to get delivered to your amazing brain. I smile. Now fill that giant sheet with foam and let's get started. As I draw my fingers through the gooey cream, I think about the words learning differences, and I'm filled with fear and happiness and questions, but I'm mostly filled with hope. Chapter 32, Screen Time. The day has been pretty good, and it just keeps coming. When I get outside, Mom and Travis are waiting for me in the car. We're going to head over to a friend's house to use their computer to Skype with your dad, my mom says. We're all missing him so much, I thought it would be good. The screen flickers at first, but then there he is in his tan fatigues. Daddy, I say, not able to hold it in, and sounding like a little kid. Allie Bug, you're so big. How are you, sweetheart? I'm good, Daddy. How are you? I'm good, but homesick. I sure miss you guys. I think how there's a word for him missing home, but not a word for us missing him. He holds up some of my pictures. I love the pictures you sent. I hang them around my bunk. The other guys are jealous, he winks. I can tell Mom wants to cry, but she doesn't. She says that being a soldier's wife means being strong for him. She doesn't want him to know how hard it is without him here. He has enough to worry about over there. I sometimes wish she would tell him. I sometimes wonder if he would come home if he knew. Good, Daddy. I miss you so much. I miss you too, honey. You know I do. How are things? More silver dollar days or wooden nickels? Some of each, I think, but more silver dollars lately. My teacher is cool. He is, and I can't even explain it in words. Great. That's terrific, sweetheart. And I have 2 friends, Keisha and Albert. Keisha likes to bake and she's brave. You'd like her, Daddy. And Albert is like a computer. He's so smart. He's a little nuts, though. He's been telling us how he loves all of the standardized testing. He actually thinks it's fun. Fun? Testing? He sounds like a different kind of guy. He is. And there's this girl named Shay at school who isn't very nice to me. I feel rushed, like I have to get everything in fast. Well, you'll always run into people like that. You can hold your own, I bet. Mom pats me on the back. Have to give Travis some time, honey. Okay. And I watch a movie of myself being strong and saying goodbye and not crying. But I want to be able to step through that screen and wrap my arms around my daddy. Feels like a part of us is missing and we won't be whole again until he's home. Hey, Dad says, remember, Allie Bug, I love you. There isn't anything on the road I love more than you, your brother, and your mom. I nod. Travis sits down. Hey, son, how are the big plans coming? Not so great. What's going on? Nothing, Travis says. Come on, maybe I can help. Travis glances at Mom and me. Well, this new manager came in at the garage. The old guy used to let me do my thing, but this one hangs over me. Always asking me to follow the specs and the manuals. If I do something, he wants to know what page I looked it up on. I know how to work on different cars. I don't need to look it up. My dad takes a long, slow breath. Well, that does sound rough. Have you tried talking to the guy or having him talk to the old boss? The old boss is out with back surgery for a while. Travis shakes his head. This new guy, he just doesn't get me. His voice cracks. My father leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Now he looks like he wants to crawl through the screen. You'll get there, I know you will, and this is temporary. Just try to work hard and learn everything you can. Travis nods but looks at the floor. I hear him mumble, there are some things I just can't learn. I'm proud of you, Trav. You know that. He clears his throat. I'm sorry. I'm just not there with you. I'm sorry I'm not there with you. Yeah, Travis looks up at the screen. Love you, Dad. Love you too, son. Hang in there. It will get better. Travis nods, but I can tell he isn't buying it. And then he stands. Come on, Squirt. Let's give Mom and Dad some time. Why? He pulls me over so they can talk mushy in private. That's why. We sit down at the kitchen table and Mom's friend gives us sodas. Travis cracks open his and takes a deep breath. What? I'm just so frustrated, Al. There's so much I want to do, but I want to help him. Maybe we could head out to some junkyards like we used to and see if we can find something worth fixing up. Maybe. I'd love to find another old Coke machine or something in someone's barn, buy it cheap and fix it up on my own. He looks at me. I can turn almost anything around for some good money. The words are the same, but they are heavy. There no wiggly fingers or talk of being genius, but my big brother looks so serious. I know you'll have Nickerson Restoration someday, Travis, and it will be part mine because of the name, right? He turns back and laughs, but it isn't real. He spends most of the time looking out the window, and I rack my brain trying to figure out what I can do. Mom calls us back to say goodbye. Dad puts his hand on the screen. All three of us put our hands on the screen, too. Just as he flickers away, Mom leans over and leaves a lipstick kiss on the glass, and then she rests her forehead there and stays a while. Chapter 33, Possibilities. Working with Mr. Daniels gets easier because I am happy, but the work is really hard for me. He has written cat on the board, and we talk about the sounds. I can only hear one sound, cat, but he says that the word cat has 3 separate sounds. It feels like he's telling me the sky is yellow, and I say each of the sounds. As I say each of the sounds, he has me tap them out on my fingers. It does seem to help. It forces me to make them separately, even though they are all one word. But it's a tiny word, and I worry that I'll do about the whole books. Will I ever be able to do this? When we were all done for the day, he leans back in his chair, like Travis would. So, you're doing great, Allie. You really are. How are you feeling about all of this? I'm actually happy to do this extra work, and I thought I'd never say something like that. He smiles. Good, I'm glad. But, yeah, I guess I still wonder if I'll ever be able to read the same as other kids and be normal and not have to have all of this extra help. It seems impossible. He's become serious, and then he takes out a piece of plain paper and pulls the cap off the marker with his teeth. He begins to write, impossible. Impossible. Do you know what that says? Remember, break it into chunks. This is a long one, though, isn't it? I nod, trying to sound it out. Important? No? But that's a good try. It says impossible, like you just said. You told me you think it seems impossible to read as well as everyone else. Yeah, I say, wondering why he had to write it down for me. It's not like I need a reminder. Then he draws a red line between the M and the P and hands it to me. I want you to rip the paper in 2 pieces, right where the line is. I do. And so now, Allie, that big piece of paper in your hand says possible. There is no impossible anymore, okay? I swallow and look down at it and feel a little dizzy. The way he said it makes me feel like it could actually be true. Now throw that little piece with the I am on it in the trash. It's gone forever. I walk over to the garbage and drop it in. I watch it twist and spin as it falls. I look up and lock eyes with him and wish I had the words to tell him how grateful I am for his helping me. In this world of words, sometimes they just can't say everything. All right then, he nods. You head home. I have some homework to do or I'll lose my recess. Okay, I laugh, but I'm still thinking of the word on the paper. Thanks, I say, looking down at it. My pleasure, he replies and takes the folder out of his briefcase. I stare at the word possible. Possible, all the way down the hallway. I study the red color. I draw my fingers over the letters. I even smell the paper so I can take it in somehow. I really want to believe. Chapter 34, Birth of a Star. Keisha, Albert, and I walked to Albert's after school. Keisha and I asked if we could come over and see his house, and he shrugged and said, okay. The whole time my hand is in my pocket holding that piece of paper possible. Albert's house is big but dark and dusty. When we enter, there are piles of things everywhere. Not papers like our house. I mean piles of things with tubes and wires, things I don't recognize. His mom greets us. Hey, Albert, you have guests? Her tone tells me that this never happens. Yes, I do. These are my friends, Keisha Almond and Allie Nickerson. Allie and Keisha, this is my mother. Aubrey Dubois, he says, waving at each of us, and she comes over and shakes our hands. Can I get you anything to eat, she asks, sounding nervous. Albert pauses. No, thank you. We'll just go upstairs. His mom says okay, as we are already following him up a skinny, twisty staircase. What kind of host, Keisha begins, doesn't allow his guests to have food? Dang it, Albert. I wouldn't have minded some. It wouldn't be logical to offer you something that doesn't exist. But she offered it to us, said Keisha. He opens his backpack and begins stacking his books on his desk like a pyramid. I can assure you that the refrigerator is quite empty. In fact, it hasn't been plugged in for a week. Oh, Keisha says, her voice getting quiet. I'm sorry, Albert. I really am. Now, I know why my mom's voice sounded funny when she offered and why he eats so much at school. Yeah, me too, I add. He turns, surprised. Why? Keisha scrunches up her face, the look she gets when she really can't figure him out. Well, I say, because you don't have food. Or refrigerator. It must be terrible to be hungry and not be able to eat, and it's probably embarrassing for you. Maybe, I think it would be, I guess. He tilts his head. Filling the refrigerator doesn't fall within the parameters of my responsibilities. Therefore, the lack of food therein would have no reflection upon me whatsoever. We are silenced. I don't know about Keisha, but I couldn't answer that for $1 million. From the looks of her, I don't think she can either. I finally lift my gaze from my face to look around his room. Just a bed, a desk, and an empty trash can. The carpet and his blankets are all dark green, but his walls have colorful posters, all science-related. There's one I like the most, a picture of outer space with every color you can think of swirled together with an orange glow off to the side. It's beautiful, I point at it. Albert, what is that? That is the birth of a star, the single most important thing that can happen in space. Well, the single most positive thing anyway. It's beautiful, I say. He stares at it. Indeed it is, he says, sitting down at his desk. Keisha laughs. You're going to be a star one day, Albert. You'll do something amazing. I don't like it. He shifts in his seat. I don't wish to be in the limelight. Limelight, I ask? I don't like a lot of attention. Well, you'd better get used to it, Albert, Keisha says, because there is no way on God's green earth that you won't have boatloads of it when you go out and cure cancer or discover another planet or something. That's my hope. I want to change the world, do something good. And then all of a sudden I feel sad as Keisha goes on about how famous Albert will be, how he'll be written about in history books and stuff. Hey, Keisha says, poking me, why are you so serious over there? I'm thinking about the things Albert and Keisha will do and how I can't even read. I can't tell them that, though, so I try to sound happier. I'm not that serious. Oh, yes, you are. Dead serious. You need to smile. I am smiling, I say. Well, someone better tell your face about it. I hesitate. Can I tell you both a secret? I ask, reaching into my pocket to touch my possible paper that I've carried since I got it. Yeah, of course. And you won't tell anyone? Yes. Now, what's the secret? We won't tell anyone because that's what the definition of secret is. Albert is quiet, but his head is tilted to the side. I have never really told anyone this, but I have a lot of trouble in school with reading and writing and, well, everything but math and art. Keisha laughs. That is not a secret. And then I feel terrible, and I feel my eyes beginning to sting, and I start walking away, but she pulls my sleeve and pulls me back. Albert looks upset. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that we know that, but that doesn't matter to us. However, Albert says, I do wish it was easier for you. We will not share your secret. Mr. Daniel says I have something called dyslexia, which makes it hard to read letters. That's why I've been staying after school, so he can help me. Keisha is wide-eyed. Extra school after school? That's terrible. I mean terrible. I went to tell her I spend the night at school hanging upside down in the closet if I could just read. I don't mind. He's nice to help me. And will help you, Albert says. But I worry that maybe he can't help me, I say, and then I mumble it. It makes me feel like I'll grow up to be a nobody. How can you say that? Keisha asks. Well, you'll probably have some big successful baking company, and Albert will do whatever in the world Albert will do, and I'm just hoping to read a menu in a restaurant. Keisha steps up and puts her arm around my shoulder. You say he's going to help you out, right? You say, Albert adds, and then pauses to think, that you'll grow up to be nobody. But logically, if nobody's perfect, well, then you must be perfect. Perfect? Me? No, I say. You are pretty perfect, Allie, Keisha says, laughing. Do you like Mr. Daniel says? Be yourself, be who you are. You know, Albert says, I wondered about that saying, and I can't ever find an answer anywhere on the internet. What do you mean, I ask? Be yourself. You always hear that. So, Keisha asks, well, Albert begins, what if you don't know who you are? I get what he means, I think. The people ask what you want to be when you grow up. I know what kind of grown-up I want to be, but I don't know who I am now. Albert stretches his legs out. There are always people ready to tell you who you are, like a nerd or a jerk or a wimp. I think how it's hard not to believe the bad stuff. Look at it this way, Albert says. If you had to be in a tank of water with a killer whale or a stonefish, which would you choose? Well, duh, who's going to choose a killer whale? Well, in the wild, killer whales never attack people. Like never. A stonefish is way more dangerous with its 13 venomous spikes. It's the words. If the killer whale were called a friendly whale, no one would be scared. And I think of words, the power they have, how they can be waved around like a wand, sometimes for good, like how Mr. Daniels uses them. We makes kids like me and Oliver feel good about better about ourselves, and how words can also be used for bad, to hurt. My grandpa used to say to be careful with eggs and words because neither can ever be fixed. The older I get, the more I realized how smart my grandpa was.